Hello everybody and welcome back. Since the year is coming to an end and 2020 was not the year for innovation in 3D printing, I thought I'd do some of the more unusual 3D printers. And since I have a knack for mini 3D printers, I thought I'd try this longer Cube2. And I must actually say, this is the most infuriating little 3D printer that I've come across. And I'll go into that in a minute or so. First of all, it is small, but if you look at its electronics and motors and heater and parts, it is basically a real printer. It is everything taken from a much larger printer that could be mounted to a larger printer, and that would make a larger printer work really well. And it's all that in this little enclosure. And it is not tiny, but the build volume is. And the whole setup is kind of quirky, and then again it's not. But let's go through the things that you get when you buy it. First of all, you get a power supply. You get the printer. You get a filament stand. I find this one really nice. You get some tools for the filament stand. You get a USB key and an SD card. You get a gigantic manual. This is all you get. One page. And that's the first infuriating thing. You get a set of Allen wrenches, and they're pretty good quality. And you get a whopping 5 meters of filament. They actually write 5 meters on here. 3D pen filament. This is not a 3D pen, that's a 3D printer. So we're going to just throw this away because it's not enough to print anything really, and then you have to change it again. So no, we're not going to use that. Now, about this manual. It's a nice manual, it has pictures, it has text. The text is okay, it's not Jinglish or anything, but it just omits the most important things. It tells you how to put it together, but it doesn't even tell you what you need to remove to unblock the printer, and that's a real no-no, because the printer is basically blocked when you get it, and there are some parts that you need to clip off and that you have to cut some cable ties, and it doesn't tell you. So the first time you're trying to use your Z-axis, it's going to stall out, and that's the first no-no. Yeah, let's go into detail about the printer. So let's start from the top. Looking down on the printer, you can see the X-axis stepper, which is a NEMA 17 stepper. Yeah, just like on your big Ender or whatever, it's a NEMA 17. And it has the same electronics that you have on the Ender. Just, it's a very small printer, but it has a big stepper motor. You also get the first glance of your extruder, which is mounted pretty good. You get a view of the inside of the printer, and here you have the ominous Z-axis holders that you need to remove before you can start out, but they don't tell you that. You can see right in the back here, you have your filament stepper. That is a NEMA 17 also. And right in the front, for the Y-axis, you have another NEMA 17 stepper and a 17 teeth T2 belt. It's all the same stuff that you find in a much larger printer. only that now it's crammed into this really tiny size. So I expect we get really fast motion and real good extrusion edges and layers with this, because this thing can go fast. You also have a 3.5 inch front color screen. This probably has a 32-bit microcontroller. I'm a little bit divided on that. 32-bit microcontrollers for 3D printers are a nice thing, but if you only have the 32-bit controller to have a color screen and to make that move quickly, then you should just go for the simple screen and use your computing power to move your printer. But that's just what I think about this. Now, continuing, we have the extruder, which is a standard 40-watt extruder, just as you would find it on a larger printer. It does have a cooling fan from the side, and turning it around, well, it's a bit hard to see. It also has a cooling fan for your print. So that is really nice. What I also think is nice is it does have a real power switch. And apart from that, it just has USB connection, a micro SD card slot, and the power connector at the back. So I am now going to remove these clips here so we can start using the 3D printer. So now that I've removed these two clips that held the Z-axis in place, we can take another look in here, and we can see that the Z-axis is moved by a TR8 threaded rod, and that also is of a pretty high quality, more or less known for bigger printers. Also, we have quality limit switches on all axes, and I can only repeat this. This is very, very good. So I think the price of this printer is around 180 euros at the moment, and for what you get in this small package, the price is okay. All the other parts, all the rails and everything moving is done well. It is greased well. There aren't any bearings in there. These are brass bushings on the rods, but that is tried and true. That just works. You just have to make sure that you always keep them clean and well lubricated. Now, basically the only part that you need to do to set up your 3D printer is you need to take the PTFE tube and you need to push it into the clamp at the extruder motor. That is easily done, and that's all you have to do. Also, and I just saw this right now, there appears to be a runout sensor for the filament. Yeah, here it is. That's your runout sensor for your filament. And once again, I've never seen a cheap small printer have this this feature set. So this is really nice. And when we see it moving, it's going to move really nice. It's just pretty much infuriating that somebody who takes so much care about making a great printer can't make a good manual. And I must say, I'm not against Longer or anything. I have the Longer Orange resin 3D printer, and it's my favorite resin printer. And I keep waiting for a high quality version of that. And then that's probably going to be my favorite printer. So now that we have everything set up, let's just turn it on. And as you can see, we have a nice graphic color screen. It is a touch screen. All the movements are nice and precise, and quickly too. We have the buttons for moving the platform, moving the crane. We can home all the axes, and we can even select how far we want to move. That's pretty much standard, but everything is in one place. Everything is where you need it. So let's get some filament in here. So threading in the filament is as easy as can be. And it's done. We can now either start printing or start the heating up. So to try a print, I'm just going to use the included SD card. I'm going to slide it in and see if we have any sample prints on there. So we can now go into the file section, and it has several G-code files on there. One 30mm G-code, one bird, one Huba, and one, I can't pronounce that. It does come with a full manual. Maybe there's more on that card, and we get an SD card error. Whoops. Well, let's try to select something. Let's try to select the bird for printing. And click open. Are you sure to start printing? Yes. No filament. Sure, there's filament in here. What do you mean, no filament? No, I don't want to change it. And it won't let me print. Oh, what's the issue here? I'm going to need to check the filament sensor. What's wrong with that? So there was nothing really wrong with the filament sensor. It was just that the tiny little connector here got bent to the side during transport. Unfortunate, but it's not the little sensor's fault. So I'm just going to put that back, plug it in, and let's retry the print. I was wondering why that was leaning off so awkwardly. It appears that it is meant to really stick off the side awkwardly and not at a 45-degree angle. And once it's mounted correctly, I suppose it's going to work. So if you think it's odd that it is sticking off at a 90-degree angle, so do I, but that's the only way it works. Let's turn it back on. Select files, select the bird, press open. Yes, we want to start printing. Oh, here we go. And it's heating up. It's a nice status screen. It really is. I like that. So we have extruder temperature, we have the fan level, we have the bed temperature, which is of course not present on this printer. We have an estimate for the time for the print and the elapsed time, and we have a percentage graph telling us how much it's already printed. There's one line of status. It says heating right now, which I suppose is exactly what it's doing. And the temperature is coming up pretty quickly. And as you can probably hear, the little fan that is cooling the extruder and not the print is running full power, and it's quite loud. Oh, here we go. So the little printer is quite loud, but that was to be expected regarding the steppers that were in there. I didn't expect it to have any silent stepper drivers. That would be an upgrade option, maybe, but from what it's right now, it's bearable. I don't think it's an office printer. First of all printers stink, but regarding its loudness, I would not recommend it for an office space. So it says it wants to run 3 hours to print this, so I'm going to check back in 3 hours. So first of all, there is a second fan on the bottom of the 3D printer that I just realized that is probably the loudest of all. And since I started this print a few minutes ago, I've seen that the printer appears to be pretty much over extruding, so maybe I'm going to look into making one of my own print files for this printer, because I'm not sure if they did this for safety or if they had a special reason for going for so much over extrusion, just so it sticks to the bed better. Yeah, it's kind of weird what that printer's doing right now. So I'll check back. Yeah, so I aborted this. This is the first print attempt, and you can clearly see that something's wrong here. I'm not sure if it's the printer's fault or if there's something else not working right. I'll have to look into that. It appeared that the printer was doing something really weird. I can't place it. Either the file was bad or it got stuck here. It just wasn't moving correctly. I'll try to figure out what it was and start over. The issue that I was having is fixed, and it is now printing well. The issue that I was having was that when I did the leveling and the Z-axis homing, I kind of went a little too close to the print bit, and because this is a rod and bushing setup, there is a little bit of slack in the bushing, and it was basically moving within this, and when it failed during this basically first layer, it was having problems when it was trying to make a raft. So it's fixed now, it's set up, and the printer is running, and I think you can hear this. This thing is moving pretty quickly for such a small printer, and that was the point that I was trying to make at the beginning. All the steppers that are in here are basically from a larger printer, so this thing can go fast and it can print with the same resolution and quality like a larger printer, because it basically is a larger printer in a small form factor. So I'm going to let this run. This is probably going to take some time, and then look at the result. So it's the next morning. The print took a lot longer than it was supposed to, according to the display, which is a discrepancy that is normal for 3D printers, because the time that is displayed there does not include any time that the printer spends on accelerating or stopping, and that is more or less just, well, expected to take this long and longer. Okay, so in the meantime, I've taken the SD card back out again. I've made a backup for my own purposes, because these SD cards usually don't last long. And I had a look at the manual. The manual is better than this single sheet of paper that you get. And the software included is for Windows only. It is a generic version of Cura. And there are samples of how you can set up this printer to work with Cura, which is okay. Now, there were a few other things that I found in there. For example, that this 3D printer is a 24 volt unit. So make sure not to mix up the power supply with any of your other 3D printers or devices if you have them, because this thing's got twice the voltage. I don't know if you can hear this. It seems that during this print, one of the fans failed. It's become a lot louder than it was before, which is not a good thing. But it's done, and I didn't find this in the manual. I just deduced this by looking at it. Let's turn it off. Yeah, that's better. You can't actually remove the build platform. The manual doesn't really mention this, and it takes an absolutely crazy amount of force, but you can remove the build platform. It just sticks down at the corners. Maybe that will get better over time. Oh, come on. And now it's a lot easier to remove this print. And talking about this print, as I was saying at the beginning, we can expect this printer to perform really well. And have a look at this. It does. It really has a very nice print output. There's some ringing, but all of the layers are spot on. There are no signs of over extrusion, at the corners at least. There's a little bit of stringing at the top, but that's about it. And these magnets hold down the build platform, and the build platform appears to be fiberglass. So, well, I don't really like fiberglass as a build platform, but nonetheless, let's see if this comes off well. Yep. So we do have a raft under this print. Let's see if the raft comes off. No. Yeah, this might take some work to get this off, but that is to be expected. I was under the impression that when it started doing the raft, if this is meant to be a raft, I'm not 100% sure that this is not part of the print. This raft had tons of over extrusion. That is a setting in the slicer. You can dial this in, and it takes a little bit of experience with the printer to find out what is good for the printer. But apart from that, the print is good. So I don't know what to say about this printer. It's just, I would call it infuriating. It's a great printer, but some of its features aren't even part of the manual, and you kind of have to keep finding out what it does. The first setup steps don't really tell you what to do, because if you forget to remove the clamps, you're just going to run into the clamps, and this might ruin the motor drivers. You're not supposed to do that. So it's kind of a strange thing. The printer itself, from a hardware standpoint, is fine. It's built cheaply, but it has good components. And I suppose if none of the plastic here breaks, and if you're careful with it and keep it clean and keep it well lubricated, it's going to be a fine printer. On the downside, it's also a loud printer. It's small, but it's loud. The software is pretty good. The menu is very responsive. I'm not a fan of touchscreen menus for small 3D printers, but this one does the job. And it has some very nice features to it that other 3D printers are lacking. For example, the list of files actually has long file names. Some other printer manufacturers just can't get that to work. I don't know why. So technically, it's a nice printer. The documentation is a mess. But if I don't know, if you need a small printer, maybe for the office, well, it's a bit too loud for that, or maybe for kids or school, this might be the printer for you. Then again, I don't know how it's going to hold up over time, and only time is going to tell. But the print result that it was giving is very good. Is as good as you would expect it, because basically you have a bigger, high-quality printer put into this small case, albeit with all of these plastic parts that you don't know how long they're going to hold up. And it's probably pretty hard to do maintenance on this thing, because the way I see it, if you want to take it apart, you basically have to remove the sticker at the front, which is going to make it look, well, just broken. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Nice printer, good results. It works with standard software. Well, Cura is a standard software, and it works. And if it works with Cura, you can get it to work with Repetier and have Slicer or SkeneForge as your slicing software. So it is easy to use, and it has multiple drivers. Oh yeah, the drivers are on the disk that you get on the SD card, and I set them up. It's just a standard serial driver. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of it's a mixed bag of nuts. You get something good and you get something you'll have to get used to. But the longer Cube2 is, in all things, a nice 3D printer. So thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye. Well, it's not quite the end. This is Dirk from 2 Days in the Future. I've been running this thing for testing a lot, and I just had the belt slip, and I don't know if you can see this. This bearing holder here, which is screwed into the plastic top, it is crooked. I don't know if this happened just now or from the start, but it is so crooked that the belt just came off, and I was able to slip the belt back over it, but yeah, that is one of the things that I was going to say. The plastic is not always the best thing to go for, because it's just going to give in after a time, and it looks like it just did. So seems like this printer's already broken. No, it's too bad. It was printing really well, I must give it that. And I saw some strange behavior at edges, which could be due to the belt slipping up and down on this pulley back here. And then all of a sudden it just stopped working in the X direction, and the belt was hanging off. So it's really too bad. I'll try to get in touch with the makers of this and see if we can get it fixed. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and bye.